WCSM's General Store recorded at 70X7 Studio. Christine Flynn, your local Farmers Insurance agent. For Good Reasons Roofing, your local hometown roofing specialist. The AME Group for all your technical needs. And by Sanders Insurance, your local independent insurance experts. And now, WCSM's crew.
Well, good Friday afternoon to you. It's another Friday from the General Store, and we drug Tony Kale back in with us. So we're just really glad that you were able to come back. Of course, he joined us.
Delicious ice cream at the General Store.
Yes,
That's
for
right.
sure. The cold pops and all the good things at the General Store. We're coming to you from, as always, the 70X7 studio. Don't forget to forgive 70 times 7. We want to thank Mike and Carter, our producers, and we want to thank you for being such great engagers on the Facebooks. And so we want to give a shout out to our top fans with an 11-week streak. We've got Robert Lutz, Fritzy Phillips. They're actually tied at 11 weeks.
Wow.
And then we've got Dave LaBrash, Rob Hamros, Jeremy Williams, Tarina Bolin, Troy Glasscock, Debbie Taylor, Danny Shitwood, Brett Kading, and Tammy Banks Wilbur. Those are our top fans for the week.
Wow.
So
I know a
thank you
few
so
of those
much.
folks.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
I bet you do. Our Facebook page is really interesting. You can go in and find out, like where you're being listened or watched or whatever from. And we're like in other countries and stuff too, which is really pretty cool. So I don't know how that happened, but we're glad that you're here with us.
That takes me to another interesting story that just popped up as far as crazy places since the internet's been around.
Yes.
Where I've had people listen to me from. So if you want to ask me that later, I've got a good story.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. So,
we're in it
wait a
now.
minute. No, when
As they
you're
say, we're in it
if
now.
you didn't join us last week, Tony Kale is morning show and also
Sports play-by-play.
Sports play-by-play at WCLS here in the area. But so, like somebody listening to the radio show. Is that what you mean? Like on streaming or something?
Yeah, on the streaming. I had a guy one time that was on his yacht in the Atlantic Ocean about a mile off the coast of Myrtle Beach. The best one was the USS Anchorage. The Navy crew was listening in the Persian Gulf to a high school basketball broadcast.
That's cool.
So that was really cool.
That is cool.
I've had them listening in Afghanistan. Guys letting me know.
Wow.
But a few years ago, we did the Edgewood Baseball State Championship, and we were starting to hit where I was afraid we were going to get all 50 states. And then a buddy of mine, Jeff Hetty, that a lot of people probably know, Jeff was listening on a cruise. He was supposed to be going on a dinner date, I think, with his wife, Andrea, but he was listening to the state championship game. They were in Cozumel on a cruise ship. So,
neat.
the internet is really, really cool
amazing.
where you find out.
Jeff's awesome. He's been my PT for
He was
many
fine as well.
many different reasons. He's the best. I love going to him. He
was
helps.
probably nicer to you than he was to me, though.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. He did the cupping and the graft, and it hurt, but it helped, and he's really, really good at it. So
Great guy.
Hurt, but
love
it
me
helps.
some.
That might be good.
Yeah, love me some Jeff Hetty. So, well, welcome back. Thanks for just coming on back. And we didn't get to talk with you a lot about like sports, which is. Not only are you on-air personality and the morning show, but sports is really your passion. Not only do you call play-by-play and have been doing that for many years, but you just really love sports. You're a sports guy.
Yeah, I grew up, take that after my dad, and he kind of passed that along to me. Of course, I grew up in the greatest era of Indiana University hoops.
Yeah.
Scotty May, my all-time favorite basketball player. It's the reason I wore number 42 when I played in high school. But
love that 76 team.
76 Hoosiers. You ever seen that documentary? I think John Mellencamp narrates it. It was on Showtime
I would see
2 or
that.
3 years ago. Perfect in 76.
No.
If you ever get a chance to see that,
I need
it
to
is
see that.
phenomenal.
No.
It was
I
on
haven't seen
Showtime?
Yeah, it was on Showtime.
I might have to
Perfect
watch
in
that.
76, it's called.
Wow.
But it was great. And speaking of, I was really blessed. My wife, Rhonda, and I were at the game where Bob Knight returned the Purdue game.
Yeah, I was there.
And actually at Assembly Hall that day. I mean, the tears were flowing.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah,
But
that was
I
it was
love
awesome
sports.
that
I
he
was at the game where he threw the chair.
I'm so thankful that he came back.
I was watching it.
I was there. I was a
I'm so
student.
thankful that he was able to come back and kind of put all that, to bed and to rest and everything. It was just hard with his condition and things. So, but yeah, I'm glad that they were able to bury the hatchet, so to speak. So
Want some closure, no doubt
yes,
about it.
for sure. I think a lot of people needed that, for sure. But so we're going to now just kind of turn you loose. I'm going to sit here and listen, but Mark is also a very avid fan. Don't sit there and shake your head because
I do love sports.
Yes,
I don't have the
you're
recall
dying.
Tony probably has. So.
I know, but you're dying for the conversation because you love it.
I do love sports.
So I'm going to turn you two loose. And one question Mike had, our producer had for you last week that he didn't get to ask you, but since we were able to get you to come back, what was your question, Mike? Do you remember?
I remember. Yeah.
Oh, the
most heartbreaking game
or most disappointing game that you called?
There seems like there's probably been a lot more of those than when you come out on the positive side. Obviously, the winning championships a lot harder than the trek to get you there. But probably I would have to say Edgewood when they were ranked number 1 with Garrett Butcher, Tommy Weekly, and that crew. Garrett, his junior year, I felt like his junior year, they were better than his team that he was a senior year. They had some guys, Jake Miller, Daniel Lowers, that was a defensive specialist, kind of did the dirty work, and it was a complete team. But Garrett was hurt, I believe it was the practice for the regional. They won the sectional down at Washington for the regional. They had to play Madison in the opening game, and he just couldn't hardly go. Ended up only scoring 7 points, struggled even shooting free throws. He gutted it out, and they only lost by 1 point. And that night, Madison I believe they beat Mater Dei by 10 or 15 points to win the regional. And I believe that Edgewood team had a shot at winning the state title this year. So that's probably the most disappointing, not because it was just because it was heartbreaking because of what Garrett was going through.
Sure.
And the team just couldn't quite overcome that. They almost did, though. So.
Right.
So I'd have to say probably that. Owen Valley football a couple of years ago, team that beat Gibson Southern, the defending state champs in the sectional, then won the sectional title the following week.
I actually listened to you call the Gibson Southern game.
Yeah, I was very sick that night.
You did a good job.
I'm not a big black coffee fan. I'm kind of a sissy coffee drinker, I call it. But I'll admit that. That's just the way I like it. But anyway, I drank 3 cups of black coffee to keep, thank goodness Chris McDonald brought it to me in the press box that night. But yeah, they beat Pike Central and then lost to Monrovia in the regional, and I thought that was that's a good shot to win the regional, and they couldn't overcome that.
Was there a game that year where the power went out or something strange? What was it in one of those tournament games? It seemed like Owen Valley had a long delay because of something happened. I
can't recall. I tell you, some of the couple of crazier things I recall. We were doing a sectional championship or tournament at Owen Valley High School a few years back, and they cleared the gym. There was tornado warnings, and I think the tornado or at least rotation was spotted in the southern part of the county, but of course the sirens went, so they had to clear the gym. So I had the sheriff on, and we went from calling basketball to doing weather reports with the Owen County Sheriff.
Which you like doing the weather.
Yeah, so we just stayed on the air.
One favorite.
We were the only 3 in the gym. Me and I think it was Brent Renard at the time, or maybe John. I think might have been Brent. And the Owen County Sheriff went from calling play-by-play to doing live tornado reports. So.
Well, we were at IU. Was it last year? It got evacuated. Assembly Hall got against Iowa, I believe.
Yes, that was. I remember
we got
that.
Evacuated because a fire alarm went.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And Don Fisher just said we're only 3 left in the building.
Yeah. Yeah, Don could probably attest to this. When you're a play-by-play person, you're usually the first one at the field or the gymnasium, and you're the last one when the athletic director's shutting the lights out. You're still wrapping things up.
Giving up the post game.
Yeah, that's just the way it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But,
who have been some of your favorite players that you've seen in the past?
as far as high school?
Yeah.
I've gotten to cover, of course, Damon Bailey when he was in high school. I wasn't doing games. Right. Funny story. I was in, I want to say my junior year going into my senior year. They back then they had a tournament called it was the White River Park State Games. For high schoolers. That was kind of the version of the AAU back then.
Right.
And Damon, I was on the Bloomington team. Chris Lawson and Damon Bailey were on the younger team. And then Marty Collier, of course. I think most people know Marty from Bloomington South. There were a couple of South guys, Marty one of them, a couple of guys from Bloomington North. I was the only one from Edgewood. And then a couple of other guys from Owen Valley. Sean Parrish, his daughter Sydney plays for the IU women's team, was on there. And Tammy Rice, who had Rice's Quality Farm Meats, that we used to ride to practice.
What year did you graduate?
I graduated in 86.
86, okay.
But anyway, I got to see Damon and them as 8th graders playing on our they probably could have beat us. They were so good with Chris Lawson, but kind of the younger team.
Yeah,
and
Chris Lawson, I forgot about that name.
Yeah. But anyway, so
I worked at Bloomington South 1 year, the year of 89, 90 school year, I think. And Chris would have been, I think, a senior. And I worked study hall. So you can imagine what that was like.
Oh, yeah.
And
a little snooze time for me back in the day. I hate to admit that.
And they weren't. The other teachers weren't supposed to use it as detention, but they did. And so that's where they get kicked out of class, and so they'd all get put into study hall. But Chris was one of my kids, but that's how I knew Chris. So
and he's about 7 foot, and you're about
he was a nice kid though. He was not in detention. He actually signed up for study hall to study. But yeah,
I would say back to your question, Sean May and Jared Jeffries when they were at Bloomington North, those guys were fun. I got to do a few of their games. Of course. I think of Bloomington South, Jordy Halls right away, getting to see him play. Some of the teams he played on, those guys, of course, got to cover their broadcast their state championship. Seen some really good women's players, girls players over the years. Beth Morgan, who was at Bloomington South, Cindy Valentine, I believe, Valentine at South. Owen Valley covered their state championship run back in 09. So that was
the BNL ladies.
I didn't really. I got to see them in got to cover them at Newcastle when Edgewood played in the Girls Hall of Fame tournament. They happened to be at the same tournament that year.
Were you at Damon's championship when he won?
I was watching it, but I was not at the Dome.
I wasn't either. I didn't know if you were there or not.
No, I was not. Was not there. So I mean, I've got to see so many. Owen Valley's had not really all. Garrett was an all-stater at Edgewood, of course, Garrett Butcher, but Owen Valley's had a lot of good players over the years, and just I've got to cover a lot of good kids. I think that's the big thing. Seeing good basketball over the years. I mean, there's not been very many games where it were kind of snooze fest.
Right.
So it's been a lot of fun. I look at it as a blessing to get to do it.
What did you think about the state moving from one state champion to the class? Yeah. What did you?
I like I will always be, of course, I'm old school, a single class person.
Yeah.
Right.
But I like the class basketball. Now, here's what I don't like about it. What I wish they would do, because when they first came up with the idea, it was about the small schools not getting to win a sectional championship. Eastern Green, for example, they were always at the Bedford sectional, had to run through Bloomington North, South, Edgewood, and BNL.
Yeah.
It was almost impossible, even with their best teams.
Right.
So it was about the small school winning the sectional. What I would like to see them do is after, say, the regional round, or after the sectional, what is there, 64 teams left? So maybe after the regional, when there's, 32 teams left, then put everybody together. I mean, I cover high school sports. I couldn't even tell you who the 4 champions were a year ago.
I came from Bloomfield, a small school, and it was big. The sectional championship was huge.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. And then whatever we got from that on was gravy. It's like you said, that would work, I think.
Yeah, I would just like to see after the regional round, or maybe even after sectional, putting everybody together. And I think that would be, then you could still have your traditional Final Four weekend. And, kids nowadays, they don't, I can remember watching all of that on Channel 4 growing up, those Final Fours.
Yeah.
And,
Classics.
it was must-see TV, and you always remember the champion year to year.
Yeah.
But I'm not against the class system, but I would just wish they would tweak it a little bit.
The one good thing, I think, it has brought exposure to some kids that wouldn't have got it before.
100%.
Yeah. So that's a positive.
And you think that makes a difference with recruiting for colleges?
It could make recruiting.
Yeah, I think so. I think social media helps with that, obviously.
And they get some limelight that they wouldn't have gotten.
Yep.
Otherwise, they would have got beat in the regional and no one would have ever seen them play.
Yep.
Right.
So there are a few positive, but I'm traditionalist.
I'm glad you asked that question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
I just wish they would rethink it a little bit, where you could still have one champion. But, it is what it is, and it's still Indiana basketball. It's still great.
It's special. It's a special place. It really is. And I didn't realize that until I moved out of state and saw that it wasn't as special in other places in the United States. Yep.
Awesome. All right, stay close. We've got more with our guest, Tony Kale, coming up after this quick break. I want to tell y'all about a friend of mine. Her name's Christine Flynn. She's a local farmer's agent in Bloomington. She, I think, was our first partner here.
She was our first partner
at the general store, which is so awesome.
We have a celebratory picture of the two of us after she agreed to be our first partner.
Yes, yeah. So thank you, Chris, so much. But she is going to become your best friend. Right now, insurances are really tough.
Crazy.
I mean, everything is really tough right now, right? But Chris has over 14 years of experience. She can help you with auto, home, business, life, condo, renters. She is down on South Walnut Street on the corner of Grimes
That's right.
and South Walnut. She's open Monday through Friday, and she can help you identify the insurance coverage that best fits your needs. She's really, really good at what she does. I think she's one of the best in the business. You can give her a call at 812-822-2905. She'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. Be sure and tell her that we've sent you from the general store. Thanks, Chris. We appreciate you.
Just want to take a couple minutes to mention one of our newer sponsors here at the general store, For Good Reasons Roofing. They're a family-owned roofing company serving South Central Indiana. For good reasons, they're going to be your local professional roof replacement, storm damage repair, also gutter installation services. They have deep ties to the community and are committed to doing what's right by their customers. They were founded on 4 simple reasons: honesty, integrity, quality, and kindness. When you choose For Good Reasons Roofing, you're going to know you're in good hands all the way from the start to the finish. With their transparent pricing quotes, commitment to the the highest quality of products, workmanship, and after installation follow-up. For Good Reasons, they're going to be your professional roofing company you've been looking for and can trust. Give them a call at area code 812-360-4469 or visit them on the web at forgoodreasons.com. That's the number 4, goodreasons.com. Tell them the crew at the general store sent you.
Welcome back from our break, and we've got Tony Kale here talking some sports, high school sports. You do play-by-play for basketball, football, and some baseball, but you said baseball is your favorite to do, really?
Yeah, baseball's my favorite because it allows you, in between each pitch, it allows you to kind of be, when I'm on the air, I've always tried to, whoever's listening, wherever they're listening from, you want to try to make them feel like whether they're in the gymnasium, the football stadium, or the baseball, the ball field there at the park, the popcorn smells, anything you can do to try to bring them there, what the sky is, you can actually paint a picture more calling a baseball game because you're
got more time
between each bit. You can use your color guy a little bit more and go back and forth. So, I actually enjoy listening to like the Reds broadcast or those games that I mentioned in the previous show growing up, just because you can kind of use your imagination and everything. That's what I love about baseball. I've only called probably less than 20 baseball games in my broadcast.
Bob Uecker was probably a big influence.
Oh, yeah. Or Harry Doyle from Major League. Harry Doyle here.
A bit outside.
But my style is probably, when you look at the book of broadcast, I feel like broadcasting's kind of gotten to be a little bit too cookie cutter. You've got to do it a certain way. You got to do this. To me, a good broadcaster, it's about their personality. Still doing a personal job, but bringing their personality. Being
like the greats used to, like Harry Carey.
I was getting ready to bring. I just watched a documentary of his,
Harry Carey.
And Harry was a fan that got the opportunity to call baseball, and he was good. Later years it was more about his character.
Yeah,
but that's why he was one of the fans. And
Oh, Nelly. Oh, Keith the
Holy
Jackson.
cow. Yeah.
Oh, Keith
Keith Jackson.
Jackson.
Keith Jackson, yeah, it's absolutely.
Yeah, the good old
there's
days.
so many greats, you don't. There's not too many announcers nowadays that you kind of certain people can relate to. There a lot of them are kind of the same, and I'd like to see more personality come back
Yeah.
into people and everything. So
Yep.
and
They make it fun to watch.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
they got
you
that
can kind of
personality.
see a line drawn, right? Like Don Fisher might be at the edge of that line, and then the new kids on the block kind of, like you said, it's kind of like country music. Back in the day when it was John Anderson and you heard his voice, you knew it was John Anderson.
Absolutely.
It was that uniqueness. And I
Absolutely.
think Harry Carey and Keith Jackson and, those Howard Cosell or whatever, you recognize the voice. Now they kind of all, I don't want to say all of them, but they are a little more
just kind of the same.
flat or more, yeah.
Yeah, they're not as memorable. I
Right,
mean,
yes.
what we grew up with.
They don't stand out from the crowd.
Right.
Yeah.
What we grew up with, those guys had big personalities, but they were also good at their job.
Yeah,
And,
right.
and they were relatable.
Right. Right,
Being
exactly.
relatable.
And you ended up loving them as much as you loved the athletes that they were calling. Do you know what I mean? Like they were part of the whole
Yep.
experience, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain calls that I can think of from some of those announcers where I heard the call 100 times. And every time I hear it, I get goosebumps.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have a lot of those. I feel like the younger announcers feel like they're have to do it by the book instead of in developing your own niche, I guess, so to speak.
Like the infamous Don Fisher call, it went in!
The watch
It
shot.
went in!
Yeah.
Yeah, the watch shot,
And the
exactly.
Keith Smart shot. It was a great shot.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, Don's awesome.
Yep. My brother wrote his tribute song. You remember?
Yep.
Old
Yep.
Fish.
Yep. That's my brother
Yep.
wrote that song.
Yeah, it's a great tune.
Yeah.
For sure. So, we obviously have been talking a lot about high school, local, and stuff. So, where is your heart when you move into college or even professional sports?
Well, of course, Indiana University Hoosiers, number one. In being here in the Bloomington, Ellettsville area, Monroe County area all my life, my number one sports team, if I had to pick one, and it's even ranks higher than the Hoosiers, is the Green Bay Packers. I have been a Packer fan since I was 4 years old. They stunk when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s. As I was born in 67, so I don't remember the Lombardi
Just
years.
missed the Bart Starr.
Yeah, don't remember the Lombardi years, but just a Packer fan. My mom used to why can't you pick a team with prettier collars?
Oh, yeah, the green and yellow.
She'd give me the old green and gold, winter jacket I would wear in elementary school down at Steinsville and stuff. But, diehard Packer fan. As a matter of fact, my wonderful wife, Rhonda, for Christmas a few years ago, of course, the fans owned the team. Well, they had put some stocks, I think 300 and some thousand stocks.
Right.
It was to help pay for an addition to the stadium and jumbotrons and everything.
Right.
And she actually got us a share. So we are owners one share of the Green Bay Packers. Doesn't make us
that's
any
pretty
money,
cool.
but she bought it. So we've got the official certificate with the team president
What
signed
a
it, and the
neat
official
gift.
seal, and got it framed on the wall.
Have
so.
you been to a game there?
Yes, I've been to Lambeau 3 games.
Nice.
First game I went to was against the Colts back in 2000.
Wow.
And it was in November. The wind chill was 17 below at kickoff. It was snowing. We had tickets to the Brett Favre Steakhouse
I was going to
there
ask
in
if you
Green
ate
Bay.
the Brett Favre Steakhouse.
He was playing there at the time, but he had a steakhouse up there. And to go along with our ticket for extra $25, you could get the tailgate party there.
Yeah.
And I literally, by the time I ate my brats, the sides and everything, I'd have to dump it and go back and get some more sides because it was covered. My plate was getting covered in snow. That's how hard it was snowing. But it snowed through the first quarter, so that was fun to get to experience that. My most fun experience, it was Brett Favre's last year. Antoine Randall was playing for the Redskins.
Yeah.
And my wife and I went, so getting to go with my wife up there. And during the national anthem, we were sitting in the Lambeau Leap area in the end zone, about 3 rows up from the end zone.
Nice.
And she tapped me on the shoulder, and she had tears coming down her eyes. So getting to share that with her, it was pretty cool. And
Nice.
But yeah, it's at Lambeau. I mean, even if you're you can't stand the Packers.
It's a special
it's kind of
place. I've
one of
been
those
there,
bucket list items if you're a sports fan going to Lambeau
We
Field.
took the tour.
Kind of like Wrigley Field.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yep.
They won't let you in the players' rooms though. Still.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny when you do the tour now. When you're coming through the tunnel,
Yeah, they do that.
They have an area of brick there that all the legends. When they moved the tunnel, they come. But all the legends walked across that tunnel. There's a sign there, but it's the PA guy announcing you coming out of the tunnel.
Yeah, it is cool.
That's cool.
It is nice. Yeah.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mean Joe Green?
He was with
Pittsburgh
the Steelers.
Steelers.
Yeah, he
Okay.
was with the Steelers.
Okay.
But yeah, Packers. I'm a big Packers fan. Reds fan. IU, of course, ranks number 2. Pacers, and then a lot of people may not know that I'm a big hockey fan. I'm a big
I love hockey.
St. Louis Blues fan. They won the Cup in 2019, so that was awesome.
I backed the Predators because I just recently became a hockey fan during COVID because I was bored and I started watching hockey.
Yeah.
And I really got into it, and I love especially the playoffs.
Yeah.
I love the playoffs.
Never. I don't think I've
And this
ever
year
watched
was
a hockey game.
excellent. Do you watch it this year?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of the Cup finals. Yeah.
Awesome. The Florida Panthers won the first 3. Then Edmonton comes back and wins the next 3. Goes to a game 7, and the last 2 minutes of that game, I mean, they were just. Edmonton was down by 1 shot, and they were just going crazy trying to get that. And the goalie's up and down and trying to block it, and it was crazy.
Going to a game in person
that's
is phenomenal.
It is.
Yeah, I mean,
Live
you
hockey.
would become a hockey fan if you went to
Yeah.
a game in person.
I've
You
My
really-
husband
wife-
played for the Blades here in Bloomington in high school and stuff. Of course, we weren't dating then.
They were big
but I
back-
never.
back in
Yeah,
those days,
yeah, he was very, very good. But I've never been to a hockey
You
game.
talk about a tough sport.
Yes,
That's tough.
and skill. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'd
Yeah.
look like olive oil on
Yeah.
skates. With my long arms and
It is.
legs.
It's like you said, we went this year to the Predators, the playoff game against Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
And it was the atmosphere unbelievable. I mean, the crowd's so into it. The players, you're immersed in it, and it is cool.
Yeah, I'm glad
is
that
fun.
Nashville got a team. It's
Yeah,
go
it's
right
fun.
there
It's
on
not a
Broadway,
hard-
with the arena there and everything.
About 3 hours drive. It's not bad.
Yep.
And we enjoy it.
Do you ever go to the Frank Southern Center to watch IU play?
I have never seen IU play there. I had some friends years ago. Their son was a goalie on the junior blade. So I've actually the only time I ever ice skated in my life, I actually ice skated there at the Frank Southern Center.
Yeah.
So
I've skated.
kind of held on.
I
to the
can't
side
go
a little
backward.
bit,
Yeah,
but,
forget it. I
I
can't
can
even
go
roller
forward,
skate.
but I can't go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just run into the boards. That's what stops me. I don't know how to stop. So.
It is
No.
fun though if you get a chance to go down there and skate. It is fun.
Of course, Indy's got a minor league team. It's a pretty
Yeah,
good
the
experience
Fuel.
up there. Yeah,
Yep.
the Fuel. So
Yep.
yeah.
So do you go to any of the Indians games? Or are you an Indianapolis Indians fan at all?
I'll
or-
be honest. My niece. The last time I was at Indianapolis, Tiff,
Oh, sure,
Tiffany
yeah.
Hall, my niece, she sang the national anthem up
Oh.
there. So that's the last, and that's been a few years ago. It was the last Indians game. But no, I mean, I would love to go. I just with family and
Yeah.
granddaughter now.
It is a great place to watch. a
Yeah,
game.
but Victory
Atmosphere's
Fields.
good.
Victory
It's a
Fields is
beautiful
phenomenal.
facility, isn't it?
Yeah.
Caught a foul ball there once.
Getting to call a state championship game there with Edgewood a few years ago was fun.
that's right, yeah.
Oh, is that where they have their state champion?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
for,
cool.
For Indiana
Yeah.
High School,
Yeah.
yes. So that was a great experience.
That is cool.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
So
Edgewood should have won that. That was, speaking of heartbreaking games, that was one of them.
Shakamak has a lot of good baseball teams.
Yeah, they do.
They go. I think they've won the state a couple of times.
Yep. Down in Jasonville.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy. But they are good at baseball. They like their baseball over there.
So are you an Indiana State? Are you an ISU fan? Much?
Well, especially when I was a kid with Larry Bird, Carl Nix. I mean, I can recite the line. Bobby. I never will forget Bobby Heaton, the half-court shot to keep the perfect season alive. And then I've gotten to know Bob Heaton since he's a state rep, and got to play golf with him a couple of times, and so that was kind of neat. And of course, I'd ask him some questions
about
about
the
that.
miracle
And-
shot.
Yep. But
So I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you. So every once in a while, this will appear again on Facebook, Reels or whatever. I'm a huge Larry Bird fan, but and I'm just a girl. I don't play basketball. Never played basketball. Don't know a lot about sports as far as being an expert. But when I watch these videos of him, he's like a freak of nature. Like, he has this sixth sense about where, like, this peripheral vision
Right.
that, for the ball passing. I mean, like, whoever, if you're playing on the team with Larry Bird, you better be awake because the ball could come to you at any time. They had to be ready for that, right? So, but here's my question. So, I realize that, I mean, Michael Jordan gets all the, and Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan, right? He's great. But everybody's like, he's the greatest of all time. I don't know. Larry Bird just seemed to be like this phenom. Like, he was like an anomaly. Like, he could do things. I don't think that. Am I wrong?
yeah, he was. I would say Bird is my favorite NBA player of all time.
he's amazing.
I would still say, in my opinion, Jordan's would be the best, best I've ever seen. Yeah. But Bird, you're right. Larry Bird, he had this sense about him. Number one, his competitiveness ranks almost as much as his skill for me.
His trash talking.
He would, trash talk. He would never shake anybody's hand before tip off. Hey, I'm between the lines. I'm here to kick your butt. Yeah. And then, I might shake your hand after the game. But Larry, you're talking about his skill passing wise and everything.
Unbelievable.
I always felt like he was almost a half a play before the ball came to him. He almost already knew where he was going to go with it before it touched.
And what was going to happen? He literally like a sixth sense. I love watching those videos. The things he could do was just unbelievable.
Much better athlete than a lot of people give him credit for when he played.
Yeah.
He didn't look like an athlete really, but he was one of these guys that he did these plays that we used to all do in the backyard. But we never
couldn't complete them.
Right. Yes, exactly. But he could complete them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Magic Johnson, in my opinion, saved the NBA when they came into the league in '79. The NBA was just about ready to probably go down the tank, and Magic Johnson and Bird coming in, they saved that league, and then it skyrocketed after that.
Right.
But both of them were great, phenomenal passing. Yeah. Both of them. Showtime, unbelievable. He was an unbelievable passer also. I mean, that's what made them fun to watch, was you never knew what they were going to do.
Bird had the passing ability of Bob Cousy, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then Bird, just as a personal challenge, one game decided to shoot left-handed.
Scored 33 points.
Right, what is that? That's what I mean. He's just totally a freak of nature. He really was.
I can't even sign my name left-handed. What are you talking about? So.
I can't eat left-handed.
Yeah,
you know what
neither.
I mean? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
The highlights are really fun.
Yes, love watching them. Oh,
Tony,
gosh.
It's been great to have you.
Yes,
here.
Tony. It's just, we want, again, now the last time he was with us, last week, we said, hey, come back. We'd love to have you come back. And then here he is. So who knows when he's going to pop up. We hope that we can have him back.
I just felt like I walked to my truck, and here I am again.
I know, right? It came, it happened, it turned around so fast.
Yeah, it did.
Isn't it crazy how quick a week will go?
Yeah, it does.
Just like that.
We really would love to have you back, though, as we're headed into IU football season with new coach Signetti, and just get your your feedback on all of that as we get closer.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, sounds good. Well, Tony, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for joining us. If it's God's will, we'll be back in here again next Friday at the General Store.
Thank you, guys.